Guys, I am so excited about this video. I've been looking to do this video for a long time. AVerMedia is bringing something new to the market, something that I actually specifically asked them for. I'm not gonna take credit because I know how long it takes to make products. This was probably already in development, but at TwitchCon last year, they said, what would you like to see in a capture card? And I told them exactly what I would want in my setup. And thus, we have the Live Gamer Duo, and man, I hope this thing is good. I really hope this thing is good because I'm so pumped for this. First, a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Owned.tv. Owned is your one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic design needs, whether that's overlays, transitions, alerts, panels, whatever. You can pick up a complete stream package and they're completely modular. So for example, if you pick the Brave series overlay that you're looking at right now, and let's say all your friends pick up the same one, so you all kind of look similar, none of you are gonna have the exact same overlay because you can pick and choose different pieces that you'd like to use. So if you'd like to make the smart move like many from the community have done, feel free to use the link down in the description below. That link also supports the channel when you use it. Also, if you'd like 40% off at checkout, make sure to use code ALPHA. Dope. This is not just a typical dual capture card. This is basically a standard capture card plus a camlink built into it. I don't know if you can see from the image, we'll go into it in a little bit, but there are 3 HDMI ports here. You have an in and an out, and then you have another input specifically for a camera. So let's just open this thing up. And that way I can show you a little bit more up close. If this thing ends up, I like how I'm prefacing like every sentence with that. But if this ends up actually being a solid piece of machinery, this will probably end up being my recommendation for every single either 2PC streamer, console streamer, anything where you need to capture your video signal. I think this will be the go-to. Let's pull this sucker out. Do any of you guys hate throwing away boxes? I hate throwing away boxes. I have so many boxes up in the closet. It's a mess. Here we go. I feel like I'm opening a Pokemon booster pack here. I'm afraid to touch stuff. And we got an HDMI cable and then some documentation. Cool. Ooh. AVerMedia has such an interesting design format. It's like industrial, but beautiful at the same time. I love the new cut front panel that they're doing here with the long lines. It feels a lot more modern and a lot more sleek. I do wish they would do a couple things. Like I wish they would cover this side. I don't know why they leave that open. Maybe it's just for airflow. Maybe they're all about functionality. They'll make it look good, but not at any cost to the performance at all. So I don't know, I'm not an engineer. I feel like it would have plenty of ventilation coming through here. But just when you look at it from the side, you do notice how thin this piece of metal is, and it makes it feel not quite as robust as I feel like it could, because this is a solid piece of machinery. I love that it's got the LED on it, which is not only really cool looking, but also is an indicator, so you can see what's going on with your capture card. But yeah, here, let's take a look. This is the special part right here. Which side is the right way? Yeah, so you see we've got HDMI in one and out one. So this one right here is actually a 1080-60 capture. However, it's got 4K 60 pass through and high refresh rate pass through. So it can pass through 1080 240. It can also pass through 1440p, 144 hertz, or 4K 60. Basically, any gaming experience you possibly have, the gaming side of this can take care of. I actually really like that. I feel like if they'd made this a 4K capture card, it would end up being a very niche item because it would have ended up being really expensive. And I mean, how many people need to capture 4K? So the fact that they went the route of 1080-60 capture, which is all anybody needs on Twitch, but allowing pass-through of all the most common video signals, I think was a really smart move. And one other thing, this is HDR as well. It captures HDR. Does it pass through HDR? I can't imagine it would capture HDR and then not pass through HDR. Yes, okay. Yeah, so this guy right here can pass through 4K 60 HDR and capture 1080-60 HDR. This guy right here, however, is your camera capture, and so it's only 1080-60. So for comparison, the closest alternative to this is using an HD60S, which also does 1080-60 capture, but 4K 60 pass through, and a camlink. That's basically what you've got on the side over here. Now, the advantage here of this combination is Just, of course, one, customization. If you only need one of these, you only buy one of these. This is definitely going to be a device for people who need both. The other advantage is, of course, Elgato's ecosystem, their software, their flashback recording that I am absolutely in love with. Just in general, a very clean experience that I've always had with Elgato. However, I've been told that AVerMedia is also working on their ecosystem. And so let's plug this in, let's take a look at what's changed, and let's see if this becomes my new favorite capture card. I'm really hoping it does. You can just tell from my voice, like I'm just excited about this. I hope I don't bring any bias into here, because I'm legitimately looking for my new capture card. Okay, so it's been 2 weeks. Let's talk about what happened, because honestly, I've never put so much effort into using a capture card, but in the end, 100% worth it. I've got some good things. I've got some not so good things. Most of the not so good things probably won't apply to you, but they might. So we're gonna go over all of them, just in case. There were 3 main issues I had to solve before I could start using this capture card. So let's go over what those were. The first was the housing side. The metal housing that goes around the actual device is unnecessarily large. Not even just on this device, but like on all internal AVerMedia capture cards. They're just big, beefy cards. And because of that, I couldn't actually fit the capture card into the lowest PCIe slot, because right underneath the slot, you have some, USB headers, some things like that, and it would literally, they would get in the way. I couldn't put it all the way in. And unfortunately, that lower spot is the only one I had available. So what I ended up doing was actually just taking off the metal housing, which is a bummer, because I actually really like the design of the housing on this one more than their previous housings on like their Live Gamer 4K. But I just feel like, given the competing capture cards on the market, for example, like the 4K 60 Pro by Elgato, it's so much tinier and thinner. That's what I originally had in here, was the 4K 60 Pro, and it fit. It didn't get in the way of any of the USB hubs. It worked great. This one, yeah, not so much. I don't think it would take a lot of effort to like slim that down a little bit. The next problem I had was actually just the size of the PCB itself, like the, not the thickness, but like girth. Can we say that on this channel? I don't think that's the right one anyway. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get this low profile like the 4K 60 or the HD 60 Pro from Elgato, because there are 3 HDMI ports on it, not just 2. But I still feel like it is way unnecessarily large, and if you are vertically mounting your GPU, like I do in my rig right here, I couldn't get it to fit behind it. Okay, that's not entirely true. I could get the card to fit in there, but it blocked the riser. I couldn't get the PCIe riser to go, behind the card into the GPU. It was snug. In order to fix this, we made a whole video about this, by the way, link up, I think this side, yeah. So we had to drain the liquid-cooled PC.
Do we need to angle it?
Dismantle the GPU. Probably be best to drain this also.
This is so terrifying.
Literally chop off the 3rd slot of the GPU, so it was just a 2-slot GPU. Yeah?
Yeah?
All right. And then, put it all back together and refill it. And luckily, it worked. I was terrified that I would do all that and it still wouldn't fit, but it fits now. And the last issue I had was actually one I've had with every single AVerMedia capture card I've tried, which is why, in general, I don't really use them. It messes with my display zoom on my gaming PC. Hear me out here. Anytime I launch a game full screen for the capture card to capture, it ends up doubling my display zoom on my PC. So if I were to open up some kind of cursor driven section in the game, like the buy screen on Valorant, my cursor is twice the size and it moves twice as fast. And then if I alt tab out of the game, all my windows have blown up into double the size. It's just a giant mess. Super weird. I had this problem with the Live Gamer 4K, with the 4K Ultra external card on multiple PCs as well. And with both of those cards, when I couldn't really figure out how to fix it, I was just like, okay, I guess I'm swapping them out with the equivalent Elgato card. But this card doesn't have an equivalent from any other company. I've never found another card like this. So I ended up spending a couple hours trying to figure this out, and I figured out the solution. So if you're having a problem what you need to actually do is go into your Windows display setting. When you go down to zoom, there's an option that I believe is called advanced zoom settings. It's right underneath the zoom option. And then you need to type in the zoom setting that you would like manually. And that kind of causes like an override across the system. Like, this is your zoom setting. And that fixed the problem for me. After all that, this thing was fantastic. I did a whole 24-hour stream with this, not a single hiccup the entire time. I think they made some really good choices with this card. First of all, super important, they kept the price down by only capturing 1080-60 on the gaming side, which frankly is all you need if you're streaming on Twitch, because that's all you can stream it anyway. But it still supports pass-through of 4K 60 and high refresh rates like 1440p 144 and, you know, of course 1080p 240 hertz. This means that any gamer can take advantage of this card regardless of the specs on their monitor. My gaming monitor, this one right here, is actually a 4K 144 hertz monitor, and this capture card handles it like a champ. Combine this with essentially having a built-in camlink, and this thing is phenomenal, and it's at a great price too. Like, let's just break this down for a second. I would put this card between the HD60s Plus and the 4K 60 Pro, because like the HD60s Plus, it only captures in 1080-60, though it can pass through 4K 60. But unlike this card, it can also pass through 1440p and high refresh rates. The 4K 60 Pro not only handles those resolutions and frame rates, but also can capture them. So, you know, if we're gonna put it in between, let's say the gaming side of the AVerMedia is $225. Is that fair? Plus, you've got the built-in camlink functionality right on the card, which retails at $129. Meaning, I mean, theoretically, this card could have been justified to cost over $350. But AVerMedia is only selling it at $250, over $100 less. Clearly, with more and more consoles playing at 4K 60, this high pass-through but 1080-60 capture is the way to go. And if I were starting a stream tomorrow and I needed to capture my gameplay, whether it was on a next-gen console or a 2PC setup, I would absolutely consider starting with this card and then either having that extra 1080-60 slot available for when I do upgrade to a nice camera, or even instead of spending $50 to $150 on a webcam, I would just go on eBay and find a $40 used GoPro like we did in this video. Yeah, up here, and already have the camera capture capability there to have an amazing looking webcam. And by the way, if you'd like to see comparing like an old used GoPro versus like $180 webcam, go check out that video. I do, however, have two more gripes with this card, and I think they're valid. I also think they are fixable via software updates. So AVerMedia, if you're listening, first thing I would recommend is you fix your software ecosystem. It is way more complicated than Elgato's. With Elgato, you download their 4K capture utility, and that has all the drivers for every single card built into it. As long as you have that, you can plug in a card and it'll work. The firmware updates on the card, the software updates, whatever, they all go through that single app. With AVerMedia, you not only have your Rec Central recording software, which kind of looks like 10, 15 years old, it's pretty dated. And then you also have their assistant app, which has the driver updates. They're two totally separate things. You have to find them both and download them, which, by the way, their website is also not the easiest to navigate. Just all around, I wish they would simplify the software experience down to a single app that just has everything built into it. The other problem I have with this is such an easy fix. It's got a nice LED indicator on the card, which I really missed on the new 4K 60 Pro. They took off the LED on this, but AVerMedia put a nice LED on this card, but the only options are to cycle through all the colors. So if you have an aesthetic on your PC, forget about it, because there's the whole color cycle going on in there no matter what. You even have two options for the LED color control, but one of them is like a fade in and out of all the different colors, and the other one is a hard shift between all the colors. I hate that when I'm streaming, I've got this nice like black and white aesthetic going on here, and then one light that's just flashing purple, amber, green. It's just let me make the color what I want, please. That would be great. And actually, I lied. I have one more gripe. I wish that AVerMedia had a similar functionality to Elgato's flashback recording, which is the ability to, you know, something good happens, whether it was the previous 15 seconds or the previous 30 minutes, and I can hit a button on my Stream Deck and retroactively record it. So if it's an amazing play or it's an amazing game, I've got it covered. This feature alone has kept an Elgato capture card in my rig at all times because it is a game changer for content creation. So AVerMedia, if you could add in something like that, that would be fantastic. The most important thing that you need to know though about this card is I am going to continue using it. This is going to be my main capture device. I need to do some extra troubleshooting on it anyway. There was one moment in, I think 2 streams ago, where it cut out for like 2 seconds, I think twice. I haven't been able to reproduce it, so I don't know exactly what caused the problems. I'll keep you guys updated if you come in on stream and ask about it, and I know, but it hasn't done it since, so I can't really figure out why that happened. But if you're looking for a capture card, I hope this helps, and I hope you consider this one, because it's probably my favorite thing that AVerMedia has done. So well done, AVerMedia. You built a great card. I hope this helped, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to jump into my Twitch chat, link in the description below. And as always, happy streaming.
I'm looking pretty stacked right now.
I mean, I have an alternator. I've got a wingman with a skull piercer.
I'm talking about my body, Sam.
Oh, I see. I mean, most people would agree.
Oh, that's so nice of you. After I just
agree.
totally ego tripped right there and said something obnoxious, you said something so nice. Oh, man.